though. This could be huge. Manages to find them.
Quote unquote, I just have to beat him in game, which will be easy. That's from Dino, aimed at Digital. Dev, I'm going to give you the floor for a second. That's salt.
Well, he's going to have to make playoffs to prove it. That'll be his next chance because he certainly did not tonight.
Oh, man, that just set that up perfectly. Final thoughts on that matchup that we just saw Elevate and the Knights 7-5 victory to Elevate.
Excellent, excellent game. What a rematch and revenge. Best served hot by Elevate for their game in the Rex Omen Gauntlet Grand Final and for the APAC South just the other day. So fantastic stuff from Elevate. They're looking to get back into it.
They certainly are. And of course, we are back into it, back into all of the action now. I want to take a quick second to say thank you very much to Snap Fitness. You can see them right here. Cheeky little Snap Fitness. And of course, the lower third that we have. First 4 weeks, only $4. I don't know if you know much about gyms, but that is pretty damn cheap. So make sure you hit the exclamation mark SNAP in Twitch chat. You'll see a little bit more information. And of course, as always, thank you very much for sponsoring this. This kind of stuff doesn't happen without the sponsors. And, well, Snap is the perfect one to have on board. My little weak arms will get gains one day. So we'll try and work on that, Dev.
Mate, we have a get jacked pact, don't we?
We do.
You're gonna get jacked. Yeah.
Yeah. We are 100%. Don't you worry. We're gonna get.
You guys are gonna hold us accountable to that.
Chances.
You can see the week-to-week progress. You can see I'm not starting with much. All right.
Oh, goodness me. I love you, mate. We're gonna
when you start from the bottom, it's easy to go somewhere.
You've got nowhere to go but up. Nowhere to
go
but up, mate. It's okay. It's okay. Oh, God. Well, that's a good segue into our next game. Nowhere but up for Wildcard and, of course, Okami, which we have facing each other now. This roster is what seems as old as time. It is one of our main El Clasicos here in the Oceanic region. And let's bring it down to a very serious note right now. We have a wounded Wildcard and an Okami, an ex-Okami, that have now turned into one of the most, I would say, profound rosters that we have. And this is them, Jack Daddy, Joker, Cutie, Specker, and Itby Style. The big addition here, Nico. What a pickup.
Yeah, huge pickup. Former player for Meloncat or Noble. We've seen that team kind of disperse amongst the other OCN teams. Nico getting picked up by Order alongside the rest of the roster. A big Australian org with beautiful swag. Love their merch, love their style. And these guys have been on a tear in the past. However, hit a bit of a hiccup just on Thursday against 7th Heaven in the APAC South Division. 7th Heaven were the lowest rated team in the whole league, and they managed to defeat Order in an incredibly convincing game. Definitely not the start that this roster wanted under their new banner. So this is their chance to redeem themselves, and also their chance to face up against an old foe in Wildcard.
Yeah, honestly, it's a really great kind of arc for Order right now. And like you're saying, there does come a point where you have to prove your worth, and this is it. Oceanic Nationals, you're up against what has been considered to be the best team in the region up until now, and that is, of course, Wildcard. A wounded Wildcard at that, unfortunately. We need to take a little step aside here and just talk about this for a second. Diesel has unfortunately stepped away for the game indefinitely, or from the game indefinitely, which has meant that Silex has had to step into the roster. They couldn't get a transfer in time. So it is without a doubt a weaker roster than what we would have expected with Diesel. However, there's nothing taking away from what Silex knows about the game or how he can perform, Dev.
Absolutely. Silex is the OG, in fact, the only remaining OG of this roster. He played way back when Pro League first began in the region. This team at the time was called Atletico. It's been under very many names. Silex was a great support player, and something that's really convenient for him stepping into Diesel's shoes is that he effectively played the same role as Diesel, and when Diesel was brought on, it was actually when Silex moved to coach. So Diesel was Silex's replacement, and now Silex is returning the favor back again, but he has been out of the game for a little while.
Yeah, and it's, you know, very unfortunate circumstances, but I think for Order, there's no better time to strike. This is when you need to make your mark. A team like Wildcard, they won't remain down and out for long. You know the names, you know how good they've been for so long. Players like Gio and Vinny, and of course, I'm not even going to dismiss Pat, especially Emo Rin, who has just been such a staple member of that roster for so long and has produced some of the best highlights in Oceanic esports, period. They will not be down for long.
That's it. We're talking a lot about this whole Diesel Silex situation, but the chapter before that is Wildcard's most successful and dominant run ever in Oceanic history. 12 months where they were the best team in the region, undisputed. Players like Pat and Gio, like you said, Emorin, these were all the MVPs. They brought on Vinny to replace Ethan, who was another star player, and Vinny stepped into those shoes and made that role his own. He outdid himself. He was a solid MVP during the Oceanic Nationals as well. So this roster has hit a massive peak, and this is just the next hurdle that they have encountered. And it's a question, can they mount it?
And that's a really good question to ask. Speed bumps and hurdles are all the same. You have to hit them on the run and keep moving. Otherwise, fortunately, we look at a situation like Meloncat. That is just what happens sometimes. But we know that this roster has so much heart in it. And I think the big point here for us to talk about in this game in particular is going to be the map. I think that that could decide a lot of what happens here. We saw Order, I think, like a couple of days ago, get absolutely clapped, and Raven and I were talking about it. We thought it was because of the map veto. So where are we expecting to go, and where does Wildcard need to go to make this work, Dev?
Well, to answer the first part of that question, Order, they lost to 7th Heaven on Clubhouse, a convincing 7-3, and you look at Clubhouse, it is a map that they play a lot, but they have a really poor record. Over the last 8 times they've played it, they've only won 6. But their most banned map is something like Cafe, which is pretty comfortable territory for Wildcard. It's pretty well known that Order love the Oregon. I think that's a pretty safe ban from Wildcard's side. It's hard to say exactly where we're going to end up, but I don't know. Wherever it is, I think it's going to be a difficult challenge for Wildcard to really just make sure that they band together and match Order's pace. But at the same time, we've seen Order slip behind as well. I can't really call where it will go. I know Order will want it to go to Oregon. I know Wildcard won't let it go there.
Yeah.
We'll just have to see in the veto. Maybe Chalet. I would love to see some Chalet.
Oh, please. I would love to see Okami on Chalet. Let's have a look at it. Let's bring it up and see exactly where we're going to be heading. We go to Clubhouse again. Okay,
Right.
so this was a big talking point for us little less than 3 days ago now. If Order can't get the result on Clubhouse that they're looking for, Dev, I think we've got to start questioning certain decisions that are being made there, but that is a very long way away. I want to make sure that I emphasize that.
Absolutely. It's somewhat grim now for Order. Looking at Clubhouse, I really hope they've got something to show for it, because just on Thursday they lost 7-3 in embarrassment to 7th Heaven. Before that, in the Rectome and Gauntlet, they lost the map tonight. And if you look a little bit further back in history, during Oceanic Nationals last year, Wildcard beat Order on Clubhouse, a convincing 7-3. This isn't a map where historically Order have had a lot of success, even locally within our region, even against teams like Elevate and Wildcard. It's just not been their go-to.
Yeah, I would have loved to have seen Coastline played, honestly. I think Coastline would have made for a very heavy fire kind of map, but that's okay. You know what? Don't worry about me. Let's just worry about in the game. And in the game, we go to Clubhouse. That is where we will determine how these teams kickstart Oceanic Nationals, how they start Stage 1. This is where it is, the first step. It has to be in the right direction. Both teams coming off the back of a loss in APAC South. It's time for them to step up, and it's time for them to show us what they're worth here. Let's get it on.
These are also rosters, continuation of rosters that are OG to the oceanic scene. Wildcard have gone under the names like Auglis, Atletico, even Tactical Potatoes. Back in the day, Order have gone under names like Okami, Darksided, Mindfreak, Corvidae, and Maelstrom even back in the day as well. This is a historical match between two massive teams which still have some of the OG members present.
And that is crazy to think. Through all of the, what we call the ANZ roster shuffle, and through all of the trials and tribulations, the fact that we still have core members to this day from how many years now, Dev?
Oh, 4 or 5 years at this point.
My God, it runs deep. And I'm sure it will run even deeper here on Clubhouse. Anything really blaringly obvious here as we head to the banning phase?
Well, for the most part, this has been an incredibly similar operator veto to what we saw in the Elevate Knights game. The only difference is that Wamai, instead of the Malusi we saw, leaves Malusi on the table, but that Wamai is very impactful operator on this map. I'm thinking of positions like rafters on the cash defense. You can use those discs to protect yourself from the projectiles. We saw, I can't remember which player it was, eat about 2 or 3 nades and flashbangs simultaneously, trying to play on those rafters last game. And well, the Wamai is the exact reason you ban that, so you can do that kind of abusive util dump into the enemy players and clear out those power positions. But just to briefly touch on what we'd already mentioned in Game 1, that Hibana is a really impactful ban. Ever since the change came through where she can select how many pellets she does use at one time, because now it's really not possible to impact trick with a Hibana on the board. As for the kitchen hatch, you really need to ban it out, and so I think that's the idea here. It keeps impact tricking as a possibility in the game.
Well, let's see how impactful it's all going to be. It obviously leaves the Maverick in. And the Snap Fitness community vote, ladies and gentlemen, 50-50. It is split right down the middle. I feel like that is a fair assessment from the community and definitely a fair assessment from us as casters. This really could be a tit-for-tat kind of game. But if you do want to have your say, be sure to head over to Twitter. Look at Rainbow6 or R6 Esports OCE, and of course Snap Fitness AU. Go hit them up with a cheeky little follow. Get involved in that vote, because it's only the more numbers we have, the better it is. Gives us a good indication. And a 50-50 split, I think it's going to make for a very, very interesting matchup.
Certainly an exciting prospect, and we'll see. Have Wildcard started to pick up the pieces from their loss in an APAC South to Q confirmed? Silex had an incredibly difficult game. His return to comp after being out of the game for, how long? Year and a half?
A very long time.
Actually, it's been more like 2 years, potentially even longer.
Yep.
It's been a very long time since Silex has had to do anything other than carry me in ranks. And we'll see if he's up to the task. Spectre getting a bit ambitious here on the angle. He takes off Geo's head without too much trouble. And the man himself opens up this historic game.
Jeez, that is going to be frustrating to say the very least. With that, though, Geo's going to have to put that one in the back pocket and move on. They've been able to flush out what was the roamers. And I think there's still one more up there, actually. Still, okay, so Jack Daddy and, sorry, it's actually Jack Daddy and Joker that are holding strong right now. As Jack Daddy inverts and falls back, sound cues are being made, and Joker's still up there. So a lot of damage can still be done from this roam, from this position. And Jack Daddy's so close to being able to support that. Look at the time, though. The time is dwindling so fast here for Wildcard.
Wildcard, always known as a team that takes their time. But ever since losing Diesel, things have definitely been slower and less efficient, less effective. Vinny, what happened there? Who was meant to be covering him? Pat desperately staring up that staircase, knowing that Jack Daddy is long gone. 3 versus 5. Messy and desperate now for Wildcard. Two roamers still upstairs, full control. This is nothing but desperate.
Wildcard are having to go for a Hail Mary here, which might have been caught by Pat and Silex. Before you blink, it is a 2 versus 2 retake from Mainstairs and Moto. How on earth have they even made this close? Pat now holding the line. This could well be the round for Wildcard, Dev.
And if so, it would be an insane 2v5, but Jack Daddy steps up. Silex, the coach, filling in for Diesel, has to find 2 players. Caught in the crossfire, it is not enough. Order don't know it yet, but they've already got the down. It's only a matter of time before they finish him off and get that defuse. A valiant effort in the 2 versus 5. But Joker and Jack Daddy come back from the roam and seal the deal.
It was always going to be the case of no matter what they were able to do on site, they still had to deal with 2 players. And if they'd gone slow and methodical, the 2 players in the roam would have been able to flank them so quickly. And it would have completely disrupted anything they looked to do. And instead, they go fast, they find the picks, they trade efficiently. They just can't get past that final hurdle. A really unfortunate circumstance for Silex with that Banshee so close to him. Just enables Order to get in a position to take that easy fight. But that all came down to time management. We were looking at Jack Daddy, and I believe it was Joker, up on the second floor, still with a minute left, and it didn't look like Wildcard had made their final decision on whether they were going to deal with them or not. So, just reiterating what you said, Dev. There are issues that need to be addressed with timing and pacing, even though that has been their strong suit for so long.
Wildcard's always been a thorough and methodical team. They do all the steps required, and they do take a long time doing it, but they get the job done, and that's unfortunately not quite been the case since this roster change. They've struggled just completing the steps. They've taken just as much time, if not more, trying to complete them, but they haven't quite been as successful. And aggressive players tend to punish them. We saw that. Vinny completely uncovered, whether it's communication breakdowns. Perhaps Diesel was a primary force behind the communication, but the most vocal player on this roster, we don't know for sure. I will say that Silex is an excellent player individually. He has an incredible knowledge of the game, and he's an incredibly supportive player. He's always ready to help his teammates, but losing Diesel is a significant blow that the entire of this team is going to have to shoulder.
It's a great point you make about realistically everyone having to come together for it, because that's just, it is the unfortunate side of this right now. You can't have any players hiding. Look at this from Cutie right now. They pre-prepped that run out. They tempting fate here. Emo ring with some pre-fire, nearly catches Ippy style, and Cutie walked away just in time, so that's just the warning shots.
For now, at least, Wildcard very spread out, looking to put some pressure on the bottom garage wall as Pat. Silex gets to work on this main wall. Cutie, a successful jump out, takes down Emo. Silex looks for the refrag for a moment before knowing that the situation is fraught. Much more difficult now. Silex is going to have to get one of the other players, ideally Geo, to rotate over and help remove the soft part of that wall. But Geo's off looking for this roamer. He knows he's been called over and he has to rotate. Vinny's actually going to do it for him. Goes to show how Wildcard are dealing with these player losses. Doesn't waste too much time. That's only step one of this attack.
I was going to say, Geo rotating all the way around. It was going to take him, I mean, at the very least, it would have taken him 20 seconds. No, not like this, Silex. Ippy style finds the free kill. From bad to worse here for Wildcard. The run out, then to the cheeky little peek from Ippy style. There's no one there to try and affect that trade. There's nothing that they can do. Warning shots from Jack Daddy. This is looking improbable to say the least for Wildcard.
45 seconds left. Two players low on the Order side, but Where's the teeth to this attack? Vinny desperate, as is Pat, leaving just Geo left, and a flawless round at the end of it for Order. It's exactly what the doctor ordered, and they found two back-to-back looking uncontested.
Definitely not the greatest of signs, but from Order's point of view, you know that Specker and co, they're going to be loud on those comms tonight. This is a must-win game for Order. It's one of those points so early in the season, 3 points on the board against what was the best team in Oceania, and it just sets you in the right stead from the get-go. Ippy style 6-picking onto the Goyo. We see Jim and Bedroom picked. Unless he's playing with our hearts here and he's got a 6-pick back to the clash. Go on, you wouldn't.
He sticks the 6-pick in the end. No clash today, but Order has been known to run the clash from time to time. I think it's usually Joker that plays it, if I recall. So I like that, just keeping Wildcard on their toes, not letting them get too comfortable at this point. And 2 rounds on the attack down. I think this is really going to come down to how many attacks can Wildcard get. I think 2 is manageable. If they move over to their defense, they could have a really strong defense showing. The lack of Diesel, I think, is really going to hurt them on their attacks. That's when the team has to be so coordinated.
Yeah.
And it is the coordination that Wildcard is suffering from at the moment. We saw that round number 1 and round number 2. Not having a clear call for their plan as well. I mean, I don't know what the strat is going into these rounds necessarily, and it may well be planned. But in terms of changing things on the fly, it's just not hitting the nail quite dead on.
No. And it's it's something that we were talking about. Just the defense is always going to look somewhat more comfortable for Wildcard in this situation, and so they just need to stay within arm's length of Order here on this defensive side. Now, Silex, this is where he died in the previous round. Obviously, you're not going to be peeking that aggressively from Order's point of view on this kind of hold, but he'll be cautious nonetheless. As Geo now opens up nice and quickly. Wildcard all on one side of the map for now.
Taking this map control, but still Joker to deal with. Vinny punished downstairs. Cutie finds that opening pick that he was looking for. 2nd round in a row, he's done so as well. Then he goes down on that signature IQ, but it's still not enough to save him here. Water looking so comfortable, so free, and Jack Daddy just retreats back to site. Cutie as well. So much info for Order at this point. Wildcard looking desperate.
Desperation will make anyone do some pretty absurd things. So you're back up against the corner. Some people love it, some people hate it. Right now, it does not look all that comfortable for Wildcard. It's not a good look for them. But we are still very, very early days, especially when it's been so fresh that these changes have been made. It's going to take a little bit of time to make this right, but Pat and the rest of this roster, you know, if you do give them a little bit to work with, they're going to be able to make it work. Just like that, Emo Rin somewhat evens out the odd. Still have a lot more to be doing here. So much control that's still left in the hands of Order with Cutie.
But Geo's found one as well. Joker fighting back. Silex goes down and he gets a 2nd as well. Pat shut down. Is the trade on? Emo Rin needs to find this, but the shotgun is too good. Joker holds down the floor, all in his lonesome, and cleaned up at the end by Specker. Order a very strong round once again. But it looked like Wildcard had a way back in. Joker stepped up.
That's the thing for Order. When things are rolling for them, they are so good individually. They are so sharp. And Joker highlighting that kind of presence right there. Wildcard somewhat looking to get back in that round. Somewhat looking to affect Order's play style. Joker just standing so strong. so firm. Shotgun playing a pivotal role on that close angle against Emorin as he made his way through to bedroom door. And now that's the full sweep. Wildcard have seen all 3 sites and failed on every step. Now they'll be feeling a little bit more pressured, if you will, need to ensure they can claw back at least 1 or 2 of these rounds, give themselves room to breathe when it heads to that second half.
If I'm Wildcard, the more time this game goes on, the more confidence I'm going to build. Keeping in mind that Salix hasn't had a great deal of time with this roster, and he wasn't actively scrimming or really playing a lot before getting introduced back in. It's fairly sudden here, so every single round that this team gets as experience together is going to improve them. Keeping in mind as well that a lot of the things that are winning these rounds for Order are capitalization on mistakes from Wildcard, and simple mistakes at that. Things that Wildcard can fix from round to round. Starting to realize, okay, you know, we just didn't deal with that roam game. We didn't cover each other. And now Wildcard can start to hopefully tighten up these little tiny problems that are turning into avalanches.
That's something that we see so often. Just one mistake that's repeated round after round will really do some damage to that mental state. And so it's something that we look to them for. That's a nice long line for Emorin there. Doesn't really need to hold it though. Love to see a shot from that distance, I'll tell you what. They still have 1 to deal with on this close angle. Vinny opening up the bank account onto Jack Daddy. That's a big kill, but Mike just so quickly traded. Ordered are not giving Wildcard a second's rest. And that from Geo catches Specker on the swing. Much better now. A little bit more comfort for them, no doubt about it.
Order are giving as good as they're getting. Wildcard might, for the first time, have that man advantage, and for the first time, have found the opening kill, but Order ready to bite back. Cutie here unaddressed on the roam. There doesn't seem to be info for Wildcard. He's been so potent these last 2 rounds. Finding the opening pick. Reveals his position, though, to Emorin on the other side. Immediately backs on off. Ibby Style is taking the ground that was forfeited. Joker's found his second as well. Wildcard, they can't deal with this far and wide roam from Order. There's nothing that they can do. Every time they start to close their grasp, Order slips through it.
Slipping through the fingers for Joker there, literally being able to get away on main stairs when they had that vertical line as well. And now Wildcard are going to look to try and press from main stairs, give them something a little bit extra here. Really nice long line from Pat from main stairs, catches at least 1. Brings it back into a 3 versus 2. And Ibby Style getting antsy there. That may be the round for Wildcard, and one that is very much needed.
It's on Cutie. The spray comes through. He sees the player. Bit of a wall bang. Finds Silex. It's a 1v2. Pat going for that plant. The player to cover. And Emo finally locks in the first round for Wildcard.
Excellent work from Emo there. Knew what his job was to a T. Sits back. No need to take that fight until he has to save a life. And that is the round that they will need moving forward. We go straight back to Church and Arsenal here for Order. Worked so well so early on. Comes down to that push and shove. Ibby Style gets aggressive, falls down. They lose a player on site. And for now, I think you'd be pretty happy if you're Wildcard. That's the room they need. Now they can work on the back of it and take their time, which we know they do so damn well.
Defenders, protect your bombs from being defused by attackers.
Definitely seeing some of the players on Wildcard starting to warm up. Emorin definitely had a much better round that time around, and Gio and Pat as well stepping up. Though the presence is still always there from Order. They're always knocking on that door. Massive game from Joker so far. 7-1 across 4 rounds. That's pretty nasty. He didn't die in any of the rounds except the one that they lost. And even in that one, he found 2 kills.
crazy, right?
Just nuts, dude. That's very impressive, especially because as far as order goes, like Joker's a great player, but he's not the player we usually talk about, right?
No. No, it's funny actually. Now that you preface it with that, Joker has. I feel like Joker's been the quietest one on the roster. You know, like generally you're always going to look to someone like Specker, Cutie, who puts in the whole 9 yards, but Joker's always just been under the radar, but yet such an impactful and great player.
That kid at the back of the class that you never know he's there, but he's actually getting straight A's the whole time.
Yep. He's killing it. And this is just the fruition of it all. So this year may be the year of the Joker. And Specker was actually coming. Oh my word, that's just
That was scary, that was.
Yeah.
Wildcard are back in this though. 1 round I think is all they need to start to get that confidence and momentum back. You know, these are some of the best players in Oceania, and you look at the statistics from last year, some of the, well, just it's by far and large Wildcard have the best performing, the best statistical players of 2020 as a whole in Oceania. It's not even debatable.
no.
And those highlight players, Vinny, Pat, Gio, Emo, they're still on this roster. Diesel was
Yes.
a great player, but he wasn't one of the ones racking up the kills. So it's not like Wildcard are lacking the firepower.
Yep.
It's just that they've had to completely deal with this change and get their momentum and get their confidence and motivation back.
Yeah. It's a killer as well, because you honestly, it just becomes so difficult, because at what point is a leader more important than a fragger? Well, I think we're going to see that this season. We're going to see how important it is to have that player on your team that you can lean on, that you can look to when times are tough.
The IQ?
And that's what he's going to be careful of, Dev. They've got so much intel gathering here on the side of order. That's an early C4. Oh! See you later. Bye-bye. 3 players from Wildcard, just like that. And now Pat has to try and do something. Emo Rins come down blue. They are getting shut down every which way, Dev.
All on Pat now. The 1 versus 3 is not going to happen. Not when Cutie drops a nuke on Wildcard. What a play. The C4 that claimed 3 players from Wildcard. When there's a buck and an IQ hunting him, he still gets away with a massacre. That is insane.
Here we go. The vision on it. Look at that. The timing. They all huddle up.
Attackers recovered.
Oh, Kobe. My goodness. And that's just something from Wildcard that you... What do? You throw your hands up in the air. That's absurd.
To get a little bit of insight onto how exactly that happened, if you might have noticed that usually the Pulse is C4ing the roof of Arsenal, that just goes into kitchen and into the kitchen hallway, right? But there was actually a tiny bit of the wall, the reinforced wall of Arsenal that leads to that long part of the 90 hallway, right under that default camp. The top of that wall was shot out. So Cutie, instead of throwing the C4 onto the roof of Arsenal and hence into kitchen, he threw it just over the top of that wall, which meant that it went into the hallway near where the default cam is. When he blew it, it landed, and basically it was like a nuke. If we can see, Rappel, I don't know if we can get a view of where that C4 detonated. You'll kind of be able to see it leads into the hallway. Thank you, Mandy. So this is the hallway right here, yeah? On the corner of the brick. And if you go into the floor below, you'll notice it's actually in the hallway, not in the kitchen. And so he threw over a tiny hole in this wall. Really clever play here from Cutie. I've not actually seen that exact usage of that hole before. But you just see, when you know little tricks like that, it can net massive rewards.
How's that 5 head going for you?
Yeah, I'm doing my best, mate.
Pretty wrinkly brain. Pretty wrinkly brain.
The
on ya.
wrinkliest.
The wrinkliest ever. Not a smooth brain. Not a smooth brain at all. But now we move forward, and this is where order kind of crumbled in their previous attempt. He got run out by from Cutie. Hit me style, got aggressive when Silex was looking to open up the garage line. This time things are looking a little bit more succinct, I would have to say. Wildcard getting in nice and early now and putting pressure from more than just one angle. And this is where the difference is going to come in from the game that we saw prior. You can see a handful of roamers from order there. Well, at least one was moving back up. There we go. Specker back up from red. And Ippy style Cutie as well, sitting in and around, waiting for any kind of intel to be able to capitalize. Cutie now in bar and slowly but surely will inch over to that main stairwell, I'm sure of it.
On the roam, we've seen Cutie, such a dangerous player. This is such an important round for Wildcard. Such an important round. To go down 1-5 on their attack would be likely the end of the game for them. I don't see them being so strong on defense that they could come back from that. They need to win it here.
Oh,
another C4!
No way. No way. Pack it in, Dev. Pack it in. 5 kills with 2 C4s in 2 rounds. You're not even talking about 2 birds, 1 stone. This is absurdity. And Gio can't get past him. Nearly finds Pat as well. Oh, talk about digging a deep grave. Holy moly.
Cutie has been the explosive force for order, and Wildcard can't deal with it. 2 versus 4, and the rest of order, they know they have the advantage. They've just got to wait, but suddenly Wildcard start to turn things around. 20 seconds left for Pat and Emorin to take this 2 versus 2. Just looking the wrong way. Pat loses it, and order come away with 5 rounds on their defense.
A huge hit out in the first half. 1 more half to go in this matchup, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to go to a short break. We'll be back in just a jiffy. Well, an explosive end to the half, and I mean that in every which way. Cutie with 5 kills in 2 rounds with 2 C4s. It doesn't get much better than that. We head to the second half. Wildcard show us what they've got on their defensive half, but there is no doubt about it. There is no question. There are gaps in this wounded roster.
And Order is exploiting that weakness to its full extent. Cutie is having the game of his life right now. Those C4s are honestly some of the most crazy C4 plays I've ever seen. And now guess what, Rob? He's got a different kind of explosive in the pocket. He's got 2 nades on the signature sledge that Cutie loves to run. And I just, I can't wait to see what he's been cooking up.
Well, let's hope that he's nothing like Dino as a chef. That's all I've got to say. Because he's going to cook that
Dino
nade too
did make
damn long.
Dino did make something explode, right? When he was cooking.
Oh, goodness me. Goodness me. It's all fun and banter, but at the end of the day, I still am flabbergasted at what I've seen from Cutie. Unreal with that. And now we get to see what it's like for Order on the attack. More importantly, we get to see what it's like for Wildcard on the defense. And they've had no real kind of hesitance, no real presence on that second floor. And this could be very, very interesting with how much time Order have to play with.
Good info from Geo. C4 goes forth by Silex. Perhaps it was shot. No, he just waited to let it off, and there he goes. Specker and Cutie together to open this kitchen floor and hopefully enable Jack to open this kitchen hatch. It's looking promising at this point. Hibana ban not seeming to impede order whatsoever. And the kitchen hatch is open and nade to follow. It's Cutie himself. Surely that gets dodged. There's no way that finds it. The ADS chews it up, thankfully for Wildcard.
Oh, I got baited so hard. I don't even care where the ADSs are. I just wanted to see it. Oh, I wanted to see it so badly. He's still got one more from what I believe, so I've got the belief. The Pokeball is still in the pocket, and we still have more to be done. Look at this information from that drone. This is unreal for Order right now. They've got so much to work on. And now...
Booked the first.
Yep, that's it.
Attacker's bomb diffuser has been dropped.
I think the ADS, there were 2 ADSs there. They only threw
Correct.
1 smoke, so that's the second nade as well now chewed up.
Big.
Wildcard not in a terrible position, and they've got a camera black eye in sight as well for that retake, which may well be the difference maker when it comes to the end of it. This 5v5 execute is difficult, but it's no longer a 5v5.
This is not going way Wildcard would be hoping for it. Jack Daddy legs it through and is now planting at the back of Arsenal. That's gone too high. It's caught the wall. And Jack Daddy's got the cover of the reinforcement, but needs to be careful from the swing of Geo. Now in a safer position. There's absolutely nothing that Wildcard can do to stop the plant right now. Shots through the wall, and it's down. It's too dangerous. Wildcard are going to be looking at up to map point if they can't manage to claw this back. Dev, have they been able to do this? It is a 3v3 still.
They took down the player on site, though. That's Jack Dad. Now the retake is on like Donkey Kong. So many players from Akami upstairs. Joker holds his own, finds one and retreats. 2 players from Wildcard to try to retake. It's a desperate attempt. And Geo doesn't know how many angles he's got to watch. Another cutoff, and there's no way that's going Wildcard's. Order has stormed all the way to match point.
Order up, baby. Order up. Well, I really don't know what else to say here for Wildcard's favor. Let's look at what Order have been able to do. Let's talk about how good they are looking. The decisions they're making, impeccable. Joker there fighting main stairs. The second he knows that he hasn't hit that first shot, he just backs away. Order are in perfect positions to, at the very least, trade if they don't have any crossfires set, which of course they do. You highlighted Joker in the previous half and once again steps up. Match point 7-1 could be the scoreline for Order here, and this is what we wanted to see from them on Thursday night.
Attackers need to locate and defuse as many bombs as they can.
Certainly wasn't the debut they were hoping for in APAC South, but here in Oceanic Nationals, Order have stepped up hugely, and a 7-1 is on the cards, and looking almost likely at this point. Order haven't slowed down whatsoever on their attack, looking incredibly confident. Cutie 13-4, that's a +9 KD. Same case for Joker, 11-2, +9. They're not even letting the rest of those players back into it. It is so nuts to see massive numbers put on the board by these Order players. And on the flip side of that, you look at a player like Vinny. Now, Vinny and Silex both on the breadstick.
Yeah.
Silex, you can kind of give him the excuse of being not only a support player, but also having been out of the game for about 2 years. Vinny, he's the star of Wildcard. He is one of their core fraggers, flex fragger players, and we're just not seeing that from him.
Just whatever you do, don't tell Xenox that you just said that Vinny's the star and not Geo. I think he'll have something to say about that, but it's, you know, fully validated in that Vinny has always been, from my eyes, and I think a lot of viewers' eyes, just such an incredible pickup for Wildcard, and right now, just not being able to do what we wanted him to really achieve, and it is impeding quite deeply on Wildcard's success, especially in this game. We obviously, it's very early days, and I think that we 100% need to cut out a little second here to frame that this was always going to be an incredibly hard challenge for a team like Wildcard that have just lost such an instrumental player I cannot go past without making that as obvious and as loud as I can. This isn't a game where it's easy to just trade a player out and you can play like normal. But alas, Order, they're flying.
And with Knights losing earlier today, this is Order's opportunity to shoot for the stars. Convincing win here over Wildcard would mean so much for them. Tied first place on the standings as well after today. See if Wildcard could hold on a little longer on this defense though. A lot of deployable shields, but a lot of progress from Order. The Wamai ban coming out as well from Order means that taking control of Garage Rafters won't be too hard. Pat though, doing his best to put the team on his shoulders, takes down that heavy hitter, Cutie, the player we're talking about, Emorin, testing with the pistol. Not sure what's happening there.
He's a gamer. What can I say? He's an absolute gamer.
Oh, Pat!
No
again.
way. No way. That, all he had in that was a whisker. How on earth did he find that kill?
And Emo, I think he's out of ammo with the TCSG. Oh, I thought that was Emo's kill for a second, but no, it's Silex. Joker, though, steps up, takes down Pat, the player who's already found two. Jack Daddy is down. It's all on Joker as he picks up his teammate. 20 seconds left, and this could be Wildcard's way back into this match.
15 seconds left.
It has to be. They're going to funnel through Garage, and there it is. Emorin, secondary on the pistol, whips it out. 1, 2, and it's all left up to Joker.
Oh, no.
No free kill for you.
You can't even confirm that one. I can't get over the fact that Emo ran out of bullets or slugs with the TCSG, so he's just contesting long angles against ACOGs with the pistol. Emorin has guts, if nothing else.
Oh, my goodness.
You know, I'm just having a look at the stats right now, Rob, and sorry to interrupt.
No, interrupt me.
Cutie, right? Like, he's nuts this game, and he's got 5 kills with explosives across 2 rounds. But you know what else? He's managed to get, what, 5 out of the 8 opening kills in this game so far. He has been the first player to get a kill in 5 rounds out of 8.
Jeez.
That is just nuts. And you know what? Wildcard won that round, and Cutie was the first to fall. Coincidence? I don't know, mate. Doesn't seem like one to me.
Honestly, this has probably been, I've been commentating Siege for the better part of nearly 2 years now. A year and a half, I think. This has it's not even close. This has been the most explosive start to a league that I've seen. And Order, I mean, like, this is such a great place for Order to be in, you know? If you were to tell me 2 weeks ago that Wildcard were ever going to have issues coming into OCN, would have told you you're mad. But with everything that's kind of fallen into place for Order, this is what we needed to see from them. I love that Wildcard aren't holding back. They're still fighting, and they're gonna fight down to the wire. That's just it. They're not gonna stop, and it's what we need to see from them now. Order approaching the building with pace, as they have a fair bit of information. First floor and second floor included.
And for Wildcard, right? Yeah, you're staring down the jaws of what looks like a very likely defeat, and Pat goes down thanks to Itby. But the thing is, for Wildcard, right, there's no losing here. You need to be working with this new roster. It's the hand you've been given. You need to deal with it. Even if you're to lose this game, you may as well get all the practice you possibly can out of it. Give it your all. Specker, though, in such an aggressive position. There's no one in church.
I'm shocked at this right now. Specker has allowed Jack Daddy as well to drop in. Cutie can stay above.
What is the play?
Well, I think they're in a little bit of a tight corner. Specker has been able to cross back.
They're just
to
gonna
main
go.
Stairs. Are they really going to send it here? Surely they're not. Surely they're not going to be able to just fight this. It looks like they're exactly what they're going to be doing. There's the initial openings for Wildcard. And Order have put their backs up against the corner. This could still work here. as they claw back in. But so low for Jack Daddy, so little time, Dev, as he really has no room to move.
And completely cut off at the end of it as well. A valiant effort there from Order. I really like the ambition. You're seeing, there's two unreinforced walls on site. One directed to Arsenal, one directed to Church. We just pick which site we want to go for. Use a skeleton key to make a quick doorway and send it on through. But Wildcard were ready for it. And suddenly 3-6 isn't looking like such a shocking scoreline after all. This was looking to be a 7-1 in favor of Order, but Wildcard are starting to redeem their pride, starting to claw this back piece by piece. And it's the fact that they're just playing their game. They're just looking to take it round by round in a vacuum, not worrying about whatever the stakes are. They're just giving it everything that they've got and enjoying it at the same time. I think that's the key to this.
Yeah. That is 100% the key for Wildcard right now, is they have to sit here and they have to be able to enjoy realistically what will be the next 7 weeks, regardless of whether they replace Silex, which you would imagine they will at the end of this. They have to come together as a team and really just enjoy every second of playing together. And I think you're gonna, if that's the approach they take, I think you're gonna see a completely different Wildcard to what we've seen in the past. Slow and methodical and, you know, very cautious in their approach. I think they're gonna change it up completely, and I would love to see that. I would love to see them back into it a little bit more and lean into that side of Siege, because it could catch a lot of teams out. Now, one thing I want to make very clear is the fact that this is almost a replication of what happened at the end of OCN Stage 2 for Wildcard. Last Playday, they were up against Ferox, I believe it was, and it was a 5-1 first half of them. They went to defense, and they either pushed it to overtime and won, or they won flawlessly from there. So do not, I repeat this, do not count them out here.
I mean, that's our job, right, as casters. We always like to be over-optimistic. I like to be a bit of a realist sometimes. Order have been insane today, but hey, even if Wildcard can't take the dub, which they still can, technically it is very possible. Even if they can't do that, then they can certainly get some experience out of this, because that is very much what they need, experience and practice with this new roster. And we get to see more awesome Siege, which I'm not going to complain about.
Never. You'll never hear me complain about more Siege. Right now, Ippy style, watching that hard line. We saw it in the previous round. Someone, I can't even remember, I think it was God Legion, swung and found 2 kills completely unaware. This time, that's not to be the case, and Wildcard are pretty happy to sit here firm, and now Order are going to start to put a little bit more pressure. Spec now coming up the red stairs as 2 more players. Actually, Ippy Style is going to back him up here. Perfectly done. They've got to be cautious from behind.
Oh, no.
A flank on a flank on a flank on a flank, and Pat is left in a 1v4.
Out of nowhere, it comes to this. Match point for Order in a 4 versus 1 with Pat. Everything laid out in front of him. With the SMG-11, takes a lick of damage, can't find the seconds. Joker seals the deal for Order in their first game of the Oceanic Nationals. They take down Wildcard in a dominant 7-3.
That's what we need to see. That right there from Order, that's the promising sign. They step forth into stage 1 of Oceanic Nationals with a big 3 points. 15 kills on Cutie, 13 on Joker. Specker and Ippy Style not even called upon, not even required to peak in the game. What a top-heavy game that was. And now we move forth, Dev. We have to brush that off a Wildcard, because Order well and truly deserved that victory.
Certainly the start that org was looking for when they picked up Okami. They said, all right, let's bring the fire. It's what our team is known for. APAC South, just forget about that, right? Oceanic Nationals taking down the big hitters, Wildcard. You know, as much as it is unfortunate their situation, this is still a massive win for Order, and it's putting them in Elevate as the premier teams to look out for this season. Knights and Wildcard previously the top 2 teams in the region have gone down, and now it's Order stepping up, it's Elevate stepping up, it's Rafflecopter stepping up.
Yep.
This has been an incredibly exciting day of Oceanic Nationals, subverting a lot of expectations.
It has, and I think that's a really, it's a really blaringly obvious point right now, is it's wide open. Oceanic Nationals is not as open and shut as what maybe some people thought it to be, and this has really shown, as you mentioned, Elevate, now Order, and of course Rafflecopter. There's still one more match to go throughout all of that, but just to kind of claw back here into what was an incredible performance from Order. You know, it's very easy for us to sit here and to isolate the cuties and the jokers who just went absolutely mental. A combined kill count of 28.
I think. Yeah.
28 kills. That is insane for just 2 players in a 7-3 victory, mind you. This was not overtime. This was not full regulation. That's pretty mental, but you can't discredit what the whole team have accomplished, which we all know. It takes everyone, you know, you're only as strong as the weakest link, and Order have shown today that realistically in a game like this, they don't have a weak link.
No, absolutely. It was Order's game from start to finish. Very few moments where it looked like Wildcard had a way in. Some very close clutch moments as well, but Order really, really showed their style, especially with those insane, massive plays. That's what we love to see from a team like Order, and it's what we expect. There are players on that roster who just really know how to bring a show.
And there's one person who knows how to put on a show, and that's none other than Specker. Let's hear from the man himself. Mate,
Gentlemen, how are we?
he's repping the Order. It's good
can
to
we just
see
say,
you in some
Let me see it.
Can we appreciate it, gentlemen? Hold on, let me just do a
Let's
little model,
go.
mate. I don't know how it's going to be being 6'3" in front of the
Please.
camera, but like, you can see, you know, hey, little feature on the back, just in case you're thinking the front was everything. Ladies and gentlemen, hold on to your seats. It's about to get crazy. You can't really see it, but you got a nice little Order logo there with the old Puma. So we're official, boys.
Let's go. How good is that? Great to see you in some merch finally. This is the first time I think we've seen you, so that is, mate,
Yeah.
I am so happy for you boys. But, I mean, that's a big win against Wildcard. They're obviously wounded right now. Did that feel like an easy victory for you guys?
I would say that we're definitely getting more comfortable with the Wildcard playstyle as of last season. In saying that, we did go for like a little bit of a hiatus period, so there is a bit of, you know, rust coming off us slowly but surely. We'll be getting back into the swing of things. We've only really been tracking for the past about like month, I would say, and then all this, you know, news with Order has allowed us to, of course, take it a lot more seriously over the past week or two, which has been absolutely epic. But yeah, it did really feel like we're versing a bit of a weaker version of Wildcard, unfortunately. But that's to be expected, right? You've lost an integral piece of your whole puzzle, right? Not to say that if you take it out, it's going to fall on down like a Jenga tower. But you know, like this team, Dark-Sided, we went through some serious roster changes, you know. So we've gone through a lot of strife ourselves. I've personally experienced that with, you know, Fletch, Virtue, and then of course myself departing. So this lineup's had 3 pretty really serious departures, you know, so it's managed to live on, and here we are to win today, so pretty epic to see.
Yeah, and I just want to bring it back and talk about Order for a second. Man, this is such a big moment. You guys were orgless for such a long time, dude. What a
Yes.
journey. How long has it been?
Dude, I
Was it a
genuinely
year?
don't... It's been longer, I think. I mean, would you consider, like... I mean, to have a proper banner, right? To have an actual proper Australian organisation, not one that's like, here's your little Twitter banner, you know? It's a genuine, proper... It's so nice to be a part of. It's an institution. We have something to move forward to. We have potential opportunities for boot camps in the future, which are absolutely tremendous for player progression, which I cannot wait to do that. That's probably going to be post this season. We'll take all of our notes in from this season, use this as a bit of a demo run, so to speak, and kind of reevaluate and see how we're progressing at the tail end of it. But dude, it's awesome. Honestly, it's so sick. So very happy and very fortunate to be in this situation, and couldn't be happier representing Order.
Yeah.
Yeah, awesome, dude.
Really, really happy for you. Just very quick, I just want to get to hear what you're about to say here.
Yeah.
Because Cutie's 3K and then
my
a 2K
God.
with a C4, mate. Are you as hype as what we are in there?
Dude, he's gone from a man that literally used to have homing like guidance systems on himself for C4s to someone that can actually throw them. So I'm pretty flabbergasted myself, in a state of awe, some would say. But man, honestly, as you guys were saying earlier, both Bailey and Joker, or Cutie, sorry, and Joker, just absolutely popped off. But there were players to facilitate that. One thing that we're really trying to stress on is not doing lone decisions. So I'm sorry to reference another league, but in that APAC South League, I was playing myself really solo, kind of lost, wasn't really in the flow of the game, kind of same with the team. It was a bit dissociative. And then today we started to have a bit more of a actual pushing as a team, working as a unit. And I've said it always, I'll say it again. I believe that if you can have 5 players that are hyper flexible, hyper aggressive, because having aggressive play styles is having confidence. That doesn't mean you have to overpeak. That doesn't mean you have to be an idiot. It's just playing the game smart. Aggression's really good in this game. So I completely stand by that. If I can shape the 5 players in my team to be of that kind of caliber, I genuinely think would be a very scary lineup, because we have the talent to match it. It's just a whole thing of having, I guess, the brains and understanding of the game, which now we can, of course, thankfully do. Shout outs to Order.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
I think we're starting to see the full evolution of the roster.
Yeah,
so
totally.
it's incredible to see you back on the camera, mate, and we wish you
Thank
all
you.
the best of luck for tomorrow's game.
Awesome. Thanks for casting, lads. You're legends as always, and we'll speak to you next time. Stay lovely.
Stay lovely. We'll try. I mean, there's no guarantees, Specker, but we'll definitely try to stay lovely. I'm glad to hear that he was as hype as what we were for that play. That was ridiculous.
Absolutely. I'm sorry. I'm just looking up how to get some of that Order merchandise, because that's so damn hot, man. That is sick.
It's hard. It's hard. Do you want to know what other merch is hot? Livin'.
Oh, yeah?
Livin'. The Livin' merch. It's solid. It's beautiful. Perfect fabric. Great fit. And a beautiful message to go along with it. But the message I think that we need to really have a look at is Order's message, which is they're here to play. They're feeling confident. They now have the backing of an incredible org that are clearly supporting them with everything they can. I think we may see a new Order altogether.
Yeah. I don't know if you were trying to make a Star Wars reference, but there you go.
Take it what you will. Take it as you will.
I will. Yeah, well, certainly has been a fantastic welcome to Order for Oceanic Rainbow Six. Those guys played out of their damn minds. They put on an insane show. Specker is always so eloquent and lovely in his interview. I love what he was saying about, we play aggressive, but we play smart, and we just have 5 guys who are super confident and super flexible, and we just make magic happen. I love that from him.
And it's something that, I think the region definitely can start to play into a little bit more. You see the teams like Roffle, Copter, I think that there's a play style to it where, let's be honest, James, Australians are pretty confident sometimes, and we are very momentum based. When we start getting fired up, we get really... We get rev going, all right? So
oh, yeah.
I think that is the key point for me from Specker's point of view, is we always knew them as a momentum-based teams, and sometimes what they were doing seemed uncalculated. But to hear that from them now, to hear that, they know that it's an aggressive style, but they know how to kind of rein the aggression back so it's not stupid, it's not uncalculated. You're actually making sure that the moves you're making, they have a point behind them. And for me, that terrifies me, knowing a team like Order could now skyrocket up to the top of OCN, because they have been the bridesmaid for so long. That's
it. And all that they were able to accomplish, 2nd place in the region, 3rd place in the region, all those massive victories in 2020 for Akami, now with Order, now with that support behind them. They've been orgless for so long, and now they can take themselves to that next level. It is massive. We saw it happen with Wildcard. They were known as orgless for an incredibly long time. They won a championship under that banner. They got picked up by an organization, and suddenly they're off to Japan.
Yeah.
But they're suddenly performing in Asia Pacific level. And Order took a bit to warm up on Thursday, but now they're clearly here to stay. You can hear that confidence that Specker has now with that banner that he loves and that he respects, that is supporting him, that he wears proudly on his chest. That is the next step for Order, and now they're ready to step up in the ladder.
honestly, the next step is OCN title. That's what it is. APAC South title. And they are not far off it. Ladies and gentlemen, that is our third matchup of the day. We have one more to go. Alifo and Bliss. They come up on the other side of this break.
Reloaded.
Attackers bomb secure. Attackers secure bomb secure. Attackers bomb secure has
Changing max.
attackers dropped into